He stood quietly behind the stage curtain, clutching a worn-out guitar whose scratches told stories older than he was. The boy's name was Miguel Santos, a thin, soft-spoken child from a small fishing village in the Philippines where mornings began with the sound of waves crashing against wooden boats and nights ended with hunger more often than comfort. Miguel had never been on an airplane before this day, never stepped inside a massive arena, never imagined that the world would one day stop to listen to him. His clothes were simple, borrowed from a neighbor who said, "Wear this, Anik, so you look confident." But confidence was the one thing Miguel didn't feel as he waited to walk onto the biggest stage of his life. Miguel's life had never been easy. His father, a fisherman, disappeared at sea during a storm when Miguel was only 6. His mother worked long hours cleaning houses and selling dried fish in the local market just to keep food on the table. Music was never meant to be a career in their home. It was a comfort, a distraction from hunger, a way to forget the sound of empty stomachs at night. Miguel learned to play the guitar using broken strings and YouTube videos watched at a neighbor's house whenever the internet signal was strong enough. He sang quietly at first, afraid that his voice might bother others, but soon the village began to notice that when Miguel sang, people stopped talking. The song that followed him everywhere was Hotel California. He didn't understand every word at first, but he felt the sadness, the mystery, the longing trapped inside its melody. To Miguel, the song sounded like a place you enter hoping for comfort, only to realize that escaping pain is never simple. It reminded him of his father, of dreams that seemed close but remained just out of reach. Every night, after helping his mother, Miguel would sit outside under a flickering streetlight and play the song over and over, changing small parts, making it his own without realizing he was shaping something powerful. The audition for America's Got Talent was never part of the plan. A visiting teacher from the city heard Miguel sing during a school event and filmed a short clip on her phone. She uploaded it online with no expectations. Within weeks, the video spread, reaching people Miguel had never met, crossing oceans he had never seen. One of those people worked with a talent scout. A few months later, Miguel found himself holding a passport, boarding a plane, and flying toward a destiny he could not yet understand. Backstage at AGT, the noise was overwhelming. Contestants practiced, cameras moved quickly, producers shouted instructions. Miguel sat alone on a folding chair, his feet barely touching the floor, whispering the lyrics of Hotel California under his breath. When his name was called, his heart pounded so loudly he was sure everyone could hear it. He stepped onto the stage, blinded by lights, the audience appearing as a sea of shadows and faces. The judges looked at him with curiosity. Simon Cowell leaned forward slightly, arms crossed, his expression neutral but alert. "Hello," Simon said. "What's your name?" "Miguel," the boy replied softly. "And how old are you, Miguel?" 10, sir." "Where are you from?" "The Philippines." The audience responded with warm applause, but Miguel barely noticed. His hands shook as he adjusted the guitar strap. Simon asked what he would be singing. When Miguel answered Hotel California, a small ripple of surprise moved through the room. It was a legendary song, one that even seasoned musicians struggled to perform convincingly. Simon raised an eyebrow. "That's a big song," he said. "Are you sure?" Miguel nodded. "Yes, sir." The music began, but something unexpected happened. Miguel stopped. A string snapped. Gasps echoed through the theater. His face drained of color. This was it, he thought. The end of the dream. Back home, broken strings were common, but here, under these lights, it felt like failure. He looked toward the judges, eyes filling with tears. Simon sighed quietly, glancing at the producers. For a moment, it seemed the audition might end right there. Then Miguel did something no one expected. "I can't sing without it," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. The room fell silent. Simon hesitated. "All right," he replied. "Go on." Miguel closed his eyes. No guitar. No music. Just his voice. When he began to sing, the first note was soft, almost fragile. But within seconds, it grew stronger, richer, filled with a haunting depth that did not belong to a child. The audience leaned forward. Judges froze. Every word carried emotion far beyond his years. He didn't copy the original version. He slowed it down, stripped it bare, turning Hotel California into a lament, a confession, a prayer. As he reached the chorus, something changed in the room. People wiped their eyes. The camera cut to Simon Cowell, whose expression had shifted completely. His mouth was slightly open, disbelief written across his face. He wasn't just listening, he was feeling. Halfway through the song, Miguel's voice cracked. For a split second, the fear returned. But instead of stopping, he pushed through, pouring every memory of hunger, loss, and hope into the sound. The crack made it real. It made it human. When the final note faded, there was silence. A long, heavy silence that felt endless. Then the entire theater erupted. The audience stood, cheering, screaming, clapping as Miguel opened his eyes in confusion. He looked around as if unsure this reaction was meant for him. Tears rolled down his cheeks. Simon Cowell stood up slowly, shaking his head. "I don't know what just happened," Simon said when the noise finally settled. "But that was one of the most honest auditions I've ever seen." Another judge called it unforgettable. Another said Miguel didn't just sing the song, he told a story. Simon stepped closer to the desk. "You don't realize this yet," he said, "but moments like that don't come around often. You're not here because you're poor or young. You're here because you're extraordinary." The yes votes came easily. Miguel had passed the audition. But the story didn't end there. Behind the scenes, doubts crept in. Critics online questioned whether a child could handle the pressure. Some accused the show of using his background for sympathy. Miguel felt the weight of expectations grow heavier each day. During rehearsals, his voice struggled. Exhaustion took over. One night, he told his mother he wanted to go home. She held his face gently and said, "You didn't come this far just for yourself. You came for every kid who thinks dreams are not for them." In the next round, Miguel was almost eliminated. His performance was good, but not perfect. The judges debated. Simon looked conflicted. Then Miguel spoke. "I just want to sing," he said. "Even if I lose." Something about that honesty changed everything. Simon pressed the button that sent Miguel through. Week after week, Miguel grew stronger. He learned, adapted, and surprised everyone. But the true climax came during the live show when he once again chose Hotel California, this time with a full band. Simon looked skeptical. "Same song?" he asked. Miguel smiled. "This time, it's for my father." When he sang, the arena transformed. The performance was powerful, controlled, and deeply emotional. It was no longer a poor kid singing a classic song. It was an artist claiming his place. By the end, Simon Cowell was on his feet, applauding harder than anyone. "I was wrong to doubt you," Simon said. "You belong on this stage." Miguel didn't win the entire competition, but he won something far greater. Recording offers followed. Scholarships were offered. His village celebrated. His mother cried tears of relief instead of worry.